Okay, well, Shin Feckle, can everybody see this? Yeah. Okay, Ítach, Leonard and Shin Jane, Gurmagat.
Okay, gur míle mága Katie agus gur mágad a soch seo rachtal is idea ítach é seo agus tá mé chosásta bhain seo nocht. So just to thank Katie there and to welcome you all here. It's brilliant to see so many people here with such an invested interest in your children starting in Naíonra. You've made a great choice and you won't regret it. They'll have a fantastic year. So we're just going to go through some. I've 23 years experience working in Naíonraí, so I just kind of collated most things that I think parents should know when their children start, their son or daughter start in Naíonra. And throughout it are kind of questions that I've been asked in the 23 years, the most important things that I think parents want to know and that I would like parents to know. So, fáilteach, and as Katie said, Baile and Merla will be in English just because, you know, we don't want to lose anything in translation. I believe it's important that, you know, this information is that you get all the information we want to say tonight, because it really helps to understand where your children will be going and the ethos in the Naíonraí, which we all share in the Naíonraí. Again, I won't be talking about specific Naíonraí, but I do know a lot of the people working, the teachers in Naíonraí around Ireland, and there is an ethos we all use in our Naíonraí. It kind of runs through it. So, fáilteach, the first slide's up there. Katie's going to flick through for us. So, Cathai Geshle Naíonraí. This is just an overview of what we're going to discuss this evening. So, Cathai Geshle Naíonra. So, what exactly the Naíonra is. And when I'm talking about that, I know it's very obvious the Gaeilge is a huge part of the Naíonraí, but Cathai Geshle Naíonra, I'm going to discuss the Gaeilge a little bit later, because what the Naíonra is, really, your children are Creelor on the Naíonra. Your children are the heart of what we do in the Naíonra. So they're the most important thing. So we'll be discussing that. And then the Gaeilge and the siimimeár. So the Gaeilge is how the children are going to absorb the Irish language when they're in the Naíonra. And then the siimimeár is the immersive education, the environment they'll be in, how they absorb it. And then quickly we just go through the Maidin in the Naíonra. I know I've had parents who have their 4th or 5th children with us, and they still are kind of saying, so what exactly do you do all day in the Naíonra? So it's just to go through that. It's, you know, just to see the breakdown of the day. It's a busy day for the children, but it's effortless. It's a really enjoyable environment for them to be in. And there's the Ceistneanna coitianta oibríonn, so the common questions that come up from parents, and they're the same every year, and we really understand, you know, some concerns you might have, and, you know, I hopefully will answer them tonight. And then expectations and your child's journey. Yeah, so we'll start and we'll go through them and we'll slowly see it'll all come together. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you, all your questions will be answered hopefully tonight. And if you have any questions that are specific to the Naíonra your child's going to, sure, drop them, send them a text, flick them on a text, and we're always open to answer questions, because we want, you know, collaborative partnership with the parents. We're working together for the year or 2 years for a best outcome for your child, your son or your daughter. So, you know, we're all working together. So here we are, and I'm going to be using 3 words throughout this as Gaeilge. And so anyone that doesn't have Irish, hopefully by the end of this, you'll have these 3 words. Glyn. So that means on we go. So I'll use that throughout every time I want to move on. So Glyn. So Glyn an seo, cad is Naíonra ann. So cad is Naíonra ann. If you have no experience of what a Naíonra is, you've made a great choice for your child, because it's a lovely environment for your child to get the start in their education in an Naíonra. They're very special classrooms for children that are 3 and 4 years of age. So in the Naíonra, as I said there before, your child is Creelor in Naíonra. They're the heart of what we do in the Naíonra. And I suppose we create the environment for them that we encourage each child to explore their natural curiosity. And in doing that, like, each child's individuality is supported so they can kind of deepen their understanding of their little worlds, and that's how they learn. You know, as we know, only a happy child will learn. So if the environment for them to explore their curiosities, sure, we're halfway there. And basically, I suppose we'll find how your child best learns, and we'll observe and we'll support that and scaffold that and build on it throughout the year. And it's really important that their lead. You know, there's no point in us putting pressure on child to sit or do this. However they learn, we'll find it and we'll allow them explore their curiosities naturally. And we do follow the Aistear early childhood curriculum. Some of you might be familiar with it, some of you may never have heard of it before, but it's basically the early childhood curriculum framework that was a body established by the Irish government on behalf of the Irish education system. So it's basically play-based. So everything's play-based. The children are learning through play, and it takes in the well-being, identity, belonging, communicating, exploring, and thinking. So all of that's going on a play-based environment. So I know some people say, sure, all they do in there is play all day, but like, whoa, the amount of learning that's going on for these children is immense. And it's done in a really nice, it's done in a really gentle way, at their own pace. Every child learns at their own pace, and that's something we support in Naíonraí. I suppose the best way to give an example would be when I was thinking of doing this, a little boy popped into my head years ago, and I just said I'd share it tonight. He came into the Naíonra and he was quite a quiet child. That's his personality. He was quiet and he was struggling to engage in play and socialize. And so we decided to set up an easel for him. So just put a big sheet of white paper up for him. And instead of a pot of paint or paintbrushes, we just left a big plate of paint in front of the easel. And I just start, putting my hands in the paint and, making marks on the paper. And I asked him, would you like to join me? Does he want to try it? And he was very kind of, a little bit nervous to come over, but he did. He came over and he watched what I did. And then I stood back and I left him. I was still observing him, but I left him. And slowly a smile started on his face when he put his hands in, and the simple sensory experience that he was really curious, and he put it all in his arms. Then he picked up the paint and he started putting it on the easel. So he was following his own curiosity, and he was gaining great confidence, and he was really enjoying, understanding what he could do with this new thing that he found. And then to build on that, I invited another little boy over to play. Would he like to help him paint the easel? And before too long, the two of them were there putting paint on each other's hands, high-fiving each other with paint, and they're having great fun and they were laughing. And that alone was incredible to see. He had not only, explored this curious idea of, putting paint and feeling the senses of paint, but he also engaged with the other child. And the reason I suppose I'm talking about that is that we scaffold that learning, and those little boys are now teenage boys and they're still best friends. So that just shows how important it is to gently allow the children to kind of lead the way, to show us how they want to learn. And him socializing with that little boy, and making a friendship was huge. And it's just a way of showing that's how it works. That's our ethos. That's our curriculum, and that's how best the children were learning the Naíonra. That's what we're about, really. So Araglin, Guramaga Katie, so Grod and Gaeilge. So yeah, obviously moving on from that, obviously, is how the Gaeilge, the children absorb the Irish language in the Naíonra, which is a very natural acquisition of a second language or third language, depending how many languages they have before they come in. But it doesn't matter if you've no Irish. It doesn't matter if your child has never heard Irish before. It doesn't matter. But by the end of the year, your whole house will know Irish and be singing the songs and the little rhymes we teach them in the, or that they learn in the Naíonra. So it's a very sensory rich environment. We have a strong focus on nature. And through this, with repetition of songs and stories and games, it's all written there. The children, you know, they get used to the routines, they know what's coming next, and the vocab just builds from that. I mean, if you think of it, when your son or daughter was small, how did they learn the English language or whatever language is spoken in the home? It's the same kind of thing. It's repetition and it's routine. And in the Naíonra, there's songs for everything. I'm not going to sing any tonight, like I wouldn't put you through that, but for everything, as soon as they walk through the door, when they're taking their coat off, we've a song for that. Putting their lunches in, we've a song for that. Washing their hands, we've a song for that. Like, everything has a little song and a little rhyme to it, and they love singing them. And after a couple of weeks, you'll probably hear them at home when it's time. I know one parent told me only the other day all the little songs that their daughter's singing, particularly at nighttime. He said when she goes in to wash her hands or brush her teeth, she's singing the song about cleaning her hands and brushing her teeth. So it's a very gentle way of learning a language, and it's very natural. It's just repetition, the same as they got their first language. It's the exact same, and it doesn't take from their first language. They're just adding a language, so there's no fear there with that. One way we like scaffold that and build on the language and the vocab is simple things like at lunchtime, 2 children every day get a chance to give out the bags. And this is very basic, but I just want to show how the vocab is built. And then by Christmas, there's sentences being spoken between the children. So, Cé leis an mála da seo is who owns this nice bag. So every day, 2 children line up the bags and they start Cé leis an mála da seo, to which the child in the room who owns the bag puts his hand up and says, Is lumsa é. That's week 1. Week 2, we add a little bit extra onto that, where the child has to say Gurav Mahagut when they get their bag. And the other child says Tafaljarod. So there, by the end of 2 or 3 weeks, they're saying entire sentence to each other. Cé leis an mála da seo, is lumsa é, Gurav Mahagut, Tafaljarod. I mean, that's amazing. These are 3-year-olds. Brilliant. They don't need to learn. They just absorb it. And that's the main thing at this age. It's the perfect age to introduce a new language. So, and we have a strong focus on nature. So what's going on in the outside world, in the seasons. This is probably where Naíonraí would differ from other preschools, is that we really use the seasons in order to teach the second language, in order for them to get the vocab of the second language. So like September, we talk about apples, Ula das darag, Ula kjörkalach darag, so the circular red apples, and we do whole little projects on them. Or we would, like the blackberries, Smera Dova, and I know most Naíonraí the people and the teachers I know that work in the Naíonraí, we all do little projects on smearadova. I know in my own Naíonra, we use the smearadova to actually paint with. So the children are holding the smearadova and they actually paint with it. And that's how they learn the colour curcra. Because when they paint with the smearadova, the purple colour comes out of them. So we really use and lean on nature, and we bring the outside world into the Naíonra to extend the vocab. And it really works well. And by the end of September, your own children, if you're walking around the park, will point out smearadova, I'm sure, because we all do them. So Eraglin Beja Gadin Kenella on Tuismitheoirí. So yeah, this is following on from how we give the opportunity for the children to get the second language in the Gaeilge, in the Naíonra of education, how it works really. And even the word tuismitheoirí, I love that word. I think it's a lovely Irish word. Tum means to dive. So like tumadori or diver. So tuismitheoirí is just to fully go in and immerse them in the language. So the environment of the classroom will be all Gaeilge. The teachers talk to each other in Irish, and we communicate to the children in Gaeilge. And this is in Naíonraí, primary Irish Gaelscoileanna and Meanscoileanna secondary schools are the only places that do this immersive education in Gaeilge. So yeah, supports early bilingualism. Yeah, so children can naturally, it doesn't take away from their language they have. I mean, I have children in the Naíonra who have 3 languages. So the Naíonra is their 4th. And we've other children who it's their 2nd language, their 3rd language. It doesn't matter. At this age, it's the perfect age to begin another language, because it doesn't affect any of their other. So I suppose an example, again, I'll give an example because it's easier to give examples with 3-year-olds. I had a child only the other day where the Gaeilge is a 3rd language, and he speaks fluent Spanish, fluent English, and now the Gaeilge. And we're at the end of the year now, and he's done really well. And we were at the door the other day, and he turned to me and said, "Unwill mud dug dian pork. Are we going to the park?" And when I said, "Oh, Níla Sigum," he turned to his friend and said, "Will you go to the park? She doesn't know if she's going to the park. Will you go to the park?" To which his friend said yes. Then he turned to his childminder and said it in Spanish. So just turned one person to the next. It was effortless for him, and it was lovely to see that he'd come on so far with his year with us, and he was talking, and he knew who to talk to in which language, and it was effortless. So the immersive education, it does work, and it is I think it's up to the age of 6 or 7 when children need to really learn a language, but before that they just acquire it. There's no formal grammar done or anything in the Naíonra. It's just learning through real life experiences and the environment that's set up for it. So yeah, it's the sensitive period for acquisition of a second language is 3 to 4 years of age. So it's perfect. It's perfect. And yeah, I'd say Sinead, Katie Araglin, Canella. So Madden Naíonra. So this is, again, I'm not saying every single Naíonra does this, but this is, everything here would go on in a Naíonra. But this is the layout, say, for my own Naíonraí, which would be, most Naíonraí, I guess, are 3 hours, 3.5 hours. I don't know any Naíonra that has more than 22 children in the classroom. Some of them are a lot less, some of them are 15, 16, but nobody would have more than 22. So yeah, Ser Spree is what happens when they come in the morning. So the classroom is set up in different stations. So you'd have a home station where there might be a little kitchen and little sinks and stuff for the children. So kind of recreating the home at the child's level. That would kind of be a Montessori. So we do mix Montessori. We take things from all different types of curriculum for early years. So there would be a kitchen area, a home area, then a book area, reading area, so a comfortable place for the children to sit and read. There would be Tógáil, so a building area where they'd have blocks and Lego and things to really use their fine and gross motor skills. Then they'd have sand, water, theas, which is Play-Doh, which is always made in the Naíonra, so there's huge batches of Play-Doh, and then arts and crafts. So there's an awful lot of little stations set up. So when we say free play, it is free play for the children, but it's very organised as areas that allowing them to just go in and just follow their curiosities and see where it leads and where they'll go from there. So that Ser Spree goes on for the morning, and it is a nice settling stage for the children as well. It's quite effortless. They can play on their own, or they can play with other children, or they can play with us. They can link and talk to us, and until they're able to put themselves in play. Sometimes when they start, they find it very hard to just kind of push themselves into play where there's other children playing. And we see this as well, and we'll of course support them in this and help them, put themselves into play. And that's as easy as I can describe it, just put themselves into a group. On close outdoor play, that's always encouraged. And then when they come in from that, sisteanna, not everyone does this, just we do it. Parents will drop in a piece of fruit in the morning into a bowl, and when they come in from playing outside, we kind of put in a bell on saying it's sus-30. I have to say the kids love this part of the day, and it really encourages healthy eating, and children that never ate fruit in their life, for their parents at home, will do it because they see their peers doing it, so they'll get stuck in. So that's encouraging their healthy eating. On Curricle then, which is a really important time of the day, because that is the time in the Naíonra where every child's voice is heard. So every child has a chance to tell a story, or tell us what's going on, how they're feeling, or whatever. Or we will discuss what we're going to do in the day with them. We'll ask their opinions. We will ask them, give them choices. Would you like to do this, or what do you think about this, or have you any ideas? So it's kind of a brainstorming time, the Curricle, that we all just sit together and chat, and we do the rulla. So we call out the names. And that's done in every Naíonra as well. Like most of these are done, just sisteanna is the only one that I don't know. We certainly do it. And then Nína Lava, so they have to wash their hands before their big lunch. And then Amciún is another opportunity for the children. It's to just kind of calm down and reset and have time on their own as well, which is important, that they're not speaking, that they're just calm, because a lot of children love Amciún because they can just reset and be on their own. They don't need to make the effort to talk. They can just close their eyes for a few minutes, listen to music, and then we give out the lunches. After that, and we do glansu, so we tidy up in all these sections when we need to, and they're encouraged to take part in that. Ibra. So this is a time the children absolutely love. It is a time where we will do pre-writing skills or pre-math skills, arts and crafts. It's basically work that's done sitting at the table. And it'll only go on for 10 minutes maybe max. And it is, they love doing it. And the older they get in the year, we challenge them a little bit more in some of the arts and crafts and pre-writing skills. Then on Cliath, which is great crack altogether, we put on music, we could do dancing, musical chairs, we do little dramas where we might do the Three Pigs or Goldilocks, you know, just act it out with them, give them all parts. Yeah, it's great fun. They love that. Or dance with multicolored scarves is another one they love. And then it's on coitianta Málaí. So coitianta Málaí, they have to collect their coat and their bag. We do encourage them to be independent to do this, but until they're able, we will of course support them in it. And to zip up their coat. It might take them a bit of time to do that, but it's great when they do it. They're so proud of themselves. And then it's just scale. And this is an important part of the day, because the scale, we can incorporate the all the language we've used, the new vocab, we try and get it into the scale somewhere. And they love that as well before they go home. And that's the Maidin Saoinre. So that you see there's a lot going on. Going on. Sorry now, I'm probably talking too much. Yeah, so yeah, in the time I've spent, these would be the top 4 concerns or questions parents would always ask me every year. We don't have any Irish. That's great, because you will by the end of the year. And you, like, it's brilliant that you've an interest and that you're going to give your child the start in Gaeilge is brilliant. So you don't need Irish. Your child doesn't need Irish. It makes absolutely no difference. Yeah, and that's important. And then there, as I said earlier, this is the sensitive period for language acquisition. Yeah, so that it's not, it doesn't make any difference. And the children, I think I had another question there. Will my child be confused with the new language? The children, I have never had a child cry because they don't understand what we're saying to them, because it's all visual. You know, if we're talking about taking their coat off, we literally say, you know, Bonnie made di machota, Bonnie made di, and we'll sing the song. I'm just not going to sing it tonight, but we'll do that, and they will understand. They will understand, and they understand. I would say, and you know, some people might say I'm wrong, but I would say in my years of working there, by Christmas, the children understand everything I'm asking. Like if I say foie mala, foie Dakota, with Giri Sprisa Ganyuf, they'll understand what I'm saying all the time. And it's amazing. They may not speak any Irish back to me, but they'll understand it, which is huge. So the learning and understanding is there. And them speaking back the language, that'll come, as they say in Irish, tuchishe. So yeah, let me see now. How can I support my child if we don't have Irish? Yeah, well, that again, we'll help you with that. You know, again, it's a collaborative partnership with the parents. We're working together. And I know most years in the parents WhatsApp group, I know somebody always organised a WhatsApp group. It was never me and my kids' school, but somebody always organises a WhatsApp group. And if you do, you'd be surprised. I know in my own Naíonra, the parents have set up a Circle Cora, which is just parents, like-minded parents who don't really have Irish. They just come together and they use the little bit they have, or they build on it over a cup of coffee, and it's great, and you get to meet great friends. I still have people I was in Circle Cora with from my nearly 30-year-old son's class. So you meet great friends, because the Irish circle is such a small circle that it's a lovely way of meeting new people. So your child, and also the preschools, the Naíonraí will, most Naíonraí, and if not, just ask them, they won't mind, to flick on where your child's at. So if can they flick on the songs they're doing this month and the vocab they're using this month, just so you can keep up. So if you hear your child singing in the bathroom about washing their hands, you know exactly what they're saying. You can join in with them. So I just stay linked in with the Naíonra, because they want to hear from you. They want to help your child, and we really encourage parents to learn the songs and the vocab, and I know my own Naíonra, we will flick on monthly sheets about what we're doing so they can follow it through the month, which really helps. And does mixing languages delay development of first language? No. It's not taking, it's adding a language. So if your child has one language or two languages, you're just adding another language. There's no fear of it delaying the development of their main language spoken at home. Oh yeah, and the last bit there, I just wanted to say, it is a lovely, when children start this young, learning their own culture, which is the Irish language on this island. And it's a great sense of identity for them, and it really does open up the appreciation they have for other cultures and languages, and that's carried on for life. So it's a great start to open their appreciation and their eyes and their ears to a new language, especially when it's embedded in their own culture, in the Gaeilge. So Lana Majarai, Katie and Shin. The expectations. Oh, yes. So just for parents, this is actually blended in kind of with the last slide. So there's no demands on any child to speak Irish. And there, I've said that before, they understand the Irish way before they start speaking it. And we never force them to say a word in Irish. That's just never happens. And there's no rush. Each child learns at their own pace, and we're right beside them as they learn at their own pace. Just scaffolding their learning and building on their curiosities, always building on their curiosities. And sometimes, like when some people ask, when we get inspected and we're asked about what we're doing in the month, sometimes it's just an open curriculum. So if a child comes in and says, I was at a museum at the weekend and I saw this elephant and he was really cool, we will take the week to talk about elephants. Whatever your child's interest is, we'll build on that, and because that's what they're interested in. So that's how we work. So sometimes we will have a curriculum written out for the week, or we will have things we're doing this and this. It could change. It's an emerging curriculum led by the children in the Naíonra as well. Now, not all the time. We won't be talking about Bluey or Peppa Pig or anything all week, but in general, if they're really interested in something cool they've done, we will build on that and share it with all their friends. And that's, again, just supporting the environment. Yeah. So to build the children's confidence. And that's the main thing, the kids going into low babies, Níon Bheoga, is that they are very strong in themselves and that they have social skills to carry them through, because job is to prepare them for that big leap. And we always do our best to work with the kids. And that's why working with the Aistear curriculum is the way to go, because we're letting them gently find their own little world and how they're learning in the world. And that makes them very confident and socially confident as well going forward. So we're beagnach ag an deireadh, guys. I hope I have bored you too much. Yeah, oh yeah, ag an tús. Now there's a few things here I just would love people to be aware of. Yeah, so the excitement of starting in the Naíonra. So maybe in the summer, if you could even, if you live beside the Naíonra, drive past it or walk past and just kind of build on that excitement for them, so that they're very familiar that they are going to be starting in there. And when they do start, it's something I've noticed. Now, there's no studies done on this or anything. It's just I've noticed over the years, some children will run in for the first week and they won't even look at their parents. They'll be gone. They won't even say goodbye. And that's fantastic. But they might regress in the second week. And it isn't really to do with, there's nothing going on in the ear that's turned them off. Sometimes there was a lovely little girl who was brilliant at talking and expressing herself. And she was like that. She ran in the first week. The second week, the mother said, I don't know what's wrong with her. She doesn't want to go in. She's really upset. And so we were talking to her at the door, and you know what? And at the end, she said, I just don't want to get up early. So novelty had worn off, and she realized, I have to go in here every day. Like, so, take every kid as an individual. Sometimes it's just that and sometimes they generally do come in, but sometimes they genuinely struggle with the transition from home into a new setting. And we have seen everything, and the staff in Naíonraí, the teachers are highly skilled to deal with anything that comes up with a child that's upset. But we will lead by you. You're the children's main educators. You always will be. And you're the children's main caregivers. So if you feel you want to stay in the Naíonra and settle them in, if you're not happy that, the first day, I don't know about any other Naíonra, but certainly in my own, I will lead by what you think is right, because it's your child. You know your child best. But sometimes it's harder for the parents, and I really get this. It's really hard for the parents to leave if your child's upset and go about your day. I totally understand that. The child is actually fine and will be fine, but it is really hard for the parents to walk out that door when their child's crying or upset. So if that happens, talk to the Naíonra themselves, what they think and what you think, and I'm sure you would work it out. Every child settles. I mean that. Every child settles. Sometimes you might need to fine tune it for a while, whereas you might need to collect them a little bit earlier. There is a settling in period where for a week, the children will only do 2 hours or 2.5 hours because they're just not able for any more than that. And we want them to leave happy and come back in. So if we did the full 3 hours, 3.5, they just wouldn't be able for it, and they wouldn't want to come back. So and I know it's hard because parents are working, and the reality of sorting out people to pick up and collect and all that, but it's really important. It's really, really important for the children, the kind of settling in period, first weeks. Some places do 2 weeks, but most do a week, I'd say. And again, we're working together, collaborative partnership with parents to do this. So it's not like we close the door, you're out there, we're all in it together, we're all doing it together. But a lot of Naíonraí, if your child really is struggling to settle, there are things that you can do. There's lots of things you can do. I do encourage parents to sometimes bring the child in early, like 5 minutes early before I even open the door, just so the room's quiet. And then they can slowly, get used to one child coming in, 2 children coming in. That might help. Or you might have to go a little bit longer collecting the children early. So, maybe after the settling in period, the next week, maybe half an hour early. Then the week after that, maybe 15 minutes early, just gently, gently, gently. And I will say, sorry, Katie, if I'm running on, just drop your child on time and try. I know things come up, but try your best to drop them on time all day, all the time, and collect them on time, because especially dropping them on time, it's very hard for kids to come into a classroom that everyone's busy and they have to go and try and get themselves into some game where it's already started and established. So I think dropping them on time is so important. And I think Sinead, tá broner now if I've gone over, but I'd loads more to say. But I hope that's been of some value to you all. And thanks for listening.